What is going on, everybody? I am your host, Juicebox, and in this video, I want to talk about It Chapter 2. I went to go see this Thursday night, and I just feel like I want to talk about this. If you guys have seen it, I want to talk about it in the comment sections down below. So, what are your thoughts on this movie? I will say that I actually enjoyed it. I've heard some people saying they didn't like the ending, that it wasn't a good movie. I will state that I thought the first movie was way better than the second one, but from rumors or just, I guess, articles I've seen or heard from, apparently the movie was actually supposed to be two movies, and that's why it's so long. It's 2 hours and 50 minutes. Something I kind of freaked out about when my friend was telling me, like, yo, you know this movie's almost 3 hours, right? And I was like, what? I thought it'd be more about like 2:15. But yeah, almost a 3-hour movie. And again, I enjoyed it. It didn't feel like a 3-hour movie, which I think that's really good when it comes to long films, is that they don't feel like 3 hours. I think that's always a plus. I will say it just didn't feel as creepy as the first one. And my theory on this is I always think that movies that deal with kids are always creepier than movies that deal with adults. And I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I think it just comes from the mentality that we have this idea that kids can't protect themselves. Like, kids are always going to get in trouble and they always need to be protected. So when you see kids going up against scary monsters, you're kind of just like, oh my god, we need to protect them. Get out of there, kids. What are you going to do? But then when you turn it around and you have adults fighting scary monsters, you're kind of like, come on, man, you gotta be smarter than that. Run away. Don't do that. Blah, 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 blah. And I think that's why it felt like this movie wasn't as scary as the first one. Because the crazy thing is, It Chapter 2 has way more Pennywise than the first one did. With all that said, I will say I really did enjoy this movie. The one thing I do want to talk about is the cast was so good for this movie. The people that played Stanley, Eddie, and Richie's older selves, which was Bill Hader, stuff like that, they all did like really well. Going from the kid to the adult, I thought everything was pretty awesome. James McAvoy was also really good in this cast because he's freaking James McAvoy. There was some really good character development in this movie, specifically with Richie's character. I thought Richie had the best character development in this movie. I will say, there was some pretty amazing character development in this movie, specifically with Richie's character. I believe I felt like the majority of the story is centered around him, or at least he had the most character development, if anything. I will say the movie does feel kind of skipped out on other people's kind of, not origins, but, you know, kind of their flashbacks. I felt like they gave more time to other characters when they didn't really, you know, it was a long movie, so you had to pick and choose. But I feel like we got to know a little bit more about certain characters than we did others. And that kind of made the story feel a little bit weird. Also, there was plenty of characters that didn't need to be in this movie at all. And I think that's probably a lot of other people's gripes with the movie, was there's a lot of these like littler stories that don't really mean anything. Like at the start of the movie, there's some characters that weren't really necessary. I think they were just kind of there to show like, oh, it's back, and it's not really a spoiler. And then there's another big character that's kind of an antagonist, which I was talking to my friend Clay about this. It didn't really seem like they needed to be there at all. Like, it added, I don't know, it just felt like they were there for like one scene that was really important, I guess, but that was pretty much it. Or not even an important scene, it was just kind of a cool scene. But I don't know, I just felt like there were definitely characters in this movie that didn't need to be there because their stories really didn't add to anything, or their stories kind of just didn't go anywhere. Also, it felt like some things were kind of unfinished in this movie. And I don't mean like the movie was unfinished, but just story-wise. It felt like there was still some answers I wanted in this movie, and I didn't really get them. Like certain characters, you thought you were going to find something out about them, or that something was going to get confirmed, and it doesn't really do that. It's just kind of still kind of wide open out there. And I don't know, so I think that's probably why people didn't like this movie. I don't really know if it, I mean, I think there was still definitely creepy parts in this movie, 100%, and I can think of a few. I'm not going to spoil the movie, I'm not going to spoil this for anybody because I'm pretty sure people are still going to go watch this. There were definitely still some creepy parts in this, but again, I think the first movie was way more creepier. I think it was a better movie, but this one did have some really great comedy in it, and that's the one thing I've been hearing from a lot of people, that this movie is way more funnier than the previous one. Now, I don't know, I thought the first one was pretty funny too, but this one had some classic bits. I definitely laughed out loud on one bit. I'll tell you in the comments. Again, I don't want to scream out. I don't want to spoil this for anybody. But there's some really solid parts in this movie. If you like the first movie, go watch this second one. Don't go into it thinking it's going to be better. Just enjoy it for what it is. Again, some solid character development in there with the characters. There is still a lot of new scenes with the kids because they do these flashbacks and you see a little bit more going on. Like, you see a little bit more from their older stories, which is kind of cool. So I thought that was awesome. So we didn't just, you know, they just didn't forget about the kids and just deal with the adults all the time. But there's a good balance of flashbacks and present day stuff. Even with the Pennywise stuff, it was pretty cool to see a little bit more Pennywise and see just kind of how these older characters were going to get out of this situation. I've also heard a lot of people complain about the ending. I didn't really have an issue with the ending, and I don't really see what people's issue is with it, to be honest. Like, I don't know what people were expecting or what they wanted. I don't know if it's the way that it ends between the kids and, you know, it, or if they were expecting maybe a cliffhanger for another, you know, chapter or something like that. I don't really know. I mean, the director came out and said that this is really they're only going to do 2 movies. Not really sure what people were expecting out of this movie, but all I know is I thought it was pretty good. If I had to give it like a score out of 10, I'd probably give it like a 7.5. Again, I didn't think it was the greatest. I didn't think it was better than the first one, but I didn't think it was bad, and I didn't think it was average. I enjoyed the movie while I watched it. Thought it was pretty cool. Definitely some creepy parts, definitely some hilarious parts. But I do want to know what you guys think about It Chapter 2. Let me know your thoughts in that comment sections down below. Guys and gals, should I do more thoughts on movies like this type of video, or maybe should I just stick to the reacting? I just kind of wanted to get this out there. Felt like this was the channel to kind of talk about a movie like this because I feel like it's pretty popular. People are going to go see it. People are going to want to talk about it. So yeah, but as always, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Juicebox. Remember, when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself something. 5 minute daily dose of juice. See you guys next time.